Thanks for continuing to serve the Oasis as a greeter. Your job as a greeter has changed significantly since we've last met in person. So I want to cover a few of the changes that you can expect as we get back to meeting physically at Desert Sky Middle School. The core behaviors that we expect of successful greeters here at the Oasis have not changed, but the way that we go about those has changed a little bit. Our three positions are going to remain the same. We'll still have greeters standing at the curb, at the door, and have an usher inside. And let me open by saying that all greeters will be required to wear a mask while on duty. As with other people attending, you'll be able to take that mask off once you're sitting down during the worship service. Now, research shows that guests decide whether or not they'll return to church within the first 2 minutes of being there. So before they hear a song, before they hear the sermon or even find their seat, they're going to decide whether or not they want to come back to the Oasis. So your ministry is just as vital today as ever. In fact, it might be even more so because you're setting a tone for our COVID response even. And so I want to share with you guys how you can continue to love on and welcome people to the Oasis. Our job is just that, is to love on people and to welcome them as they come to their church. And this includes three primary types of people. We have members, regulars, and guests. Now, for the most part, we can't really tell the difference between members and regulars. That's just the people who signed the home church covenant or haven't. But we usually know who the guests are because they look new, they're different. And during our COVID time away, there have been quite a few new people who have come to the Oasis. And so even though they may seem like a guest to you, they may even be a regular by now. And so I want to make sure that we're welcoming and loving people and encouraging them as they're coming on to Desert Sky campus. So part of our job in ministry is certainly to welcome those people, but our primary job is actually to welcome guests and to help them to feel loved and to help them feel like they have a home here. And so this leads me to the first of the four primary behaviors that I want to look at that make up an awesome greeter. So if you can do these four things, I think you're going to be successful as a greeter. The first thing is this: to be guest-centric. So what I mean by that is that we must always be on the lookout for guests. As I mentioned earlier, the first impressions are vital to their return. And many times their first impression is you. If you're the curb greeter, then you are their first impression of the church. While part of your job is to love on and welcome your friends, that is, the regulars and the members, our priority is to welcome guests and to remain available to help them out. And for this reason, we ask that you refrain from having extended conversations with friends, with regulars and members while you're on the clock. If people want to have a conversation, especially as we've been away for a while, I would encourage you to say, hey, look, let me catch up with you after service right now. I've got a job to do. So instead, share, a greeting with them, your normal greeting, and then just encourage them to go. So the first thing is to be guest-centric. If we can do that, then that's one of the biggest things of our job, is to recognize and to look out for guests and to love them well. The second behavior is to be fully present and on time. We ask that you be fully present and on time. And on time means that if you're there for the 8 o'clock or 8:30 service, that you're there at 8:10 in your position, ready to serve. If you're serving at the 10:30 service, that you be there at 10:10, ready to serve. So if you want to save your seat in service, if you want to get coffee, if you want to go put your stuff down, please go do that all before it's time for you to be at your serving position, 20 minutes before the service. We ask that you remain in your position through the first 15 minutes of service. So that means if you're there at the 8:30 service, that you're there from 8:10 to 8:45. If you're there at the 10:30 service, you're there from 10:10 to 10:45. Please don't leave your post early, even if it doesn't appear that people are going to continue to come, especially during this time of change where things are different. We ask that you stay in position all the way through your serving time, because we never know when someone might show up. Additionally, we ask that you refrain from using your cell phone during this time. We want you to be fully present with people as they're coming, and that's hard when we're on our phone and we're engaged in other things rather than with guests and members as they come along. Additionally, we're asked that you stand up during the duration of your shift. So please no, pulling up a chair or leaning up against the wall or sitting down at the bench by the front curb. We ask that you be standing up, welcoming people as they're coming along. We want to be fully present as people are arriving. So the first thing is to be guest centric. The second one is to be fully present and on time. The third one is to smile and to share a greeting. Now, along with being guest centric, fully present and on time, we ask that you share a warm smile and greeting with people as they arrive. It can be easy for people to misread us, especially with having masks on. And especially if people don't know our personalities with their guests, but it's essential that we smile and we warmly welcome them. Believe it or not, you may think that smiling with a mask on would cover that all up and make it, void, but that's actually not true, because smiles are actually in the eyes more than they are in the lips. And so people can see even with the mask on, they can see a genuine smile coming through. So do your best to acknowledge everyone as they come in, even little ones, with a smile, with a warm welcome. Also, don't feel like you have to say the same greeting every time and the same thing as everyone else says. Mix it up. In fact, it would be kind of awkward if everybody said the same exact welcome or good morning greeting. So find something that works for you and run with that. And lastly, play your part. Like I mentioned, we have 3 positions. We have the curb greeter, we have the door greeter, and we have the usher. And if you do those first 3 things, if you can be guest centric, if you can be fully present and on time, if you can smile and share a warm greeting, if you can do this last one, play your part to do the job of your position, then you can be a really successful and helpful greeter. So the first position is this curb greeter. Now, this has changed quite a bit since our last time together. While being the first impression of Oasis, the curb greeter will also be in charge of asking people to wear a mask during the service. So we're asking everybody who's on campus to wear a mask. They can take their masks off once they're at their table, except for times of singing. But we do ask that if you're standing up, if you're walking around during social times, we ask that people keep a mask on at all times. If someone refuses to comply, by the way, we do have complimentary masks available. And so if somebody doesn't have a mask, you can just say, hey, look, right here, there's a mask. You can take one for free and you can keep it. And so right there by, in between the curb and the gate, there will be a table that people can get complimentary masks. We ask that you point people there. Now, if people refuse to comply, then don't worry about it. Don't fight them on it. Don't argue. You don't have to go enforce that. Just let Pastor David or myself know. We'll give you a walkie-talkie, you can let us know that there's somebody coming without a mask, and Pastor David or myself will enforce that. We don't mind being the bad guy. We don't want you to have to put yourself in that kind of a position. So the curb greeter, on top of welcoming people and answering questions that they might have, we ask that you help enforce people wearing masks, that you encourage them to put one on, to grab one as they come in. Also, since people, you don't necessarily know where they're at in terms of comfort level with personal touch, we ask that you refrain from using personal touch unless it's initiated and you're comfortable with it. What we're going to actually have people do is we're going to have people wear a wristband indicating their comfort level, with either a green wristband saying that they are comfortable with physical touch, a yellow one means elbow bumps and stuff like that, and a red one means please don't touch. We're anticipating that most people are going to be a green or a yellow because they're in person. So most of the people that aren't comfortable with touch probably won't be there anyways. But since they won't have their wristband yet, because the wristband station is in between the curb and the door greeter, you don't know what people's comfort levels are yet. So please refrain from initiating personal touch with people as they come in. The next job is the door greeter. Now, like I mentioned, in between the curb greeter and the door greeter, there's going to be a station. There's actually 2 stations where people can get a wristband indicating their comfort level with touch. Now, your job as a door greeter is exactly that. You're going to be greeting from the door. You don't have to worry about enforcing the wristbands. That's going to be the next position, the usher greeter, that I'll mention in just a minute. But your job is, 1, to hold the door open for everybody as they come in. 2, you're going to be wearing gloves because we're asking people not to touch the doors. We want them to just walk in without having to touch anything. And secondly, we want everybody to get a pump of hand sanitizer as they come in to the worship area. So your job is to hold the door open, welcome people, and to make sure that they are getting a pump of hand sanitizer on their way in. So please don't let people open the door. I insist, and that's what you can say is I insist, I'll open it. You'll have gloves on, and that way it's more so about communicating safety to our guests than it is about the safety of yourself, because if you're the only one touching the door, it shouldn't be a problem. But either way, we want to communicate safety to the people that are coming and are entrusting themselves in our care. And so we ask that you keep the gloves on, that you hold the door open for people without propping it open, by the way. Please don't prop the door open. Just hold it open as people come. And lastly, by making sure that people get hand sanitizer on their way into the worship area. Lastly, we've got the usher greeter. The usher greeter's job is to welcome people while they're entering, and to make sure that they have wristbands on. So if people forgot to get a wristband on, then I would encourage you to ask them to go back outside and to grab a wristband indicating their preference. If people refuse to get a wristband, then once again, just like the curb greeter, don't enforce that. Just let Pastor David or myself know, and we'll be the bad guys. We'll go have these conversations with these folks, encouraging them to go get a wristband on for the sake of everybody else. So that's the difference, is we're going to be requiring masks, requiring wristbands, requiring people to get hand sanitizer on their way in and on their way out of the worship center as well. So those are the differences. And if you can play your part and do your role, that will go a long way in helping to make sure that we're being a successful greeter. In closing, I want to remind you that as I put together the new schedule, if you have time off requests, let me know in advance. I'm going to put a schedule out through September, and then I'll be working on one through the end of the year after that. So I'm just going to put together a short tentative schedule for the next 6 weeks or so. And then after that, I'll put together a calendar for the end of the year. So if you guys want to have certain days off, please let me know ASAP, or otherwise I'll just assume that you want to serve whenever, and I'll put you on the schedule as it works out. Also, if you guys, if something does come up, then you're on your own to find a replacement. And so please make sure to find a replacement and let me know about that replacement, or Pastor David know about it, so that way we know who to expect on a Sunday. So if say Bob doesn't show up, we know that Bob's not just, he's not playing hooky. He had somebody covering for him. So please make sure to let us know that you got coverage. In case of a last minute emergency, let Pastor David or myself know. If you woke up sick or not feeling well, whatever, let us know, and we'll figure something out. But please let us know as soon as you know that you're not going to be there. In summary, if you can be guest centric, fully present and on time, share a warm greeting, and play your part, I know that people are going to feel loved, they're going to feel cared for, and ultimately we're going to be able to serve them in a more honorable way. And so I thank you so much for being a part of this team. I'm really glad to have you guys back, and I can't wait to serve alongside you guys. All right, well, we'll see you starting August 23rd.